Hello and welcome back to episode 3 of my Zeta review, Zeta Rewind, whatever I'm calling it. This is the 5th time I'm recording this. Been having a lot of editing problems. I just started using OBS, and the last time I recorded it, I forgot to turn on the mic. I spent 20 minutes talking to the screen and recording. And when I exported it to my laptop, I realized there was no audio because I didn't turn on the mic. So 5th time's the charm, isn't it? All right. Last time, number 40, we talked about Commander Luke Skywalker's leadership. And for today, for number 41, this is the last kind of a filler Zeta I had before Jedi Knight Revan's return. It is Vander Chewbacca, Ferocious Protector. And this is another revive ability. We've looked at Mother Talzin, we've looked at Jolie, and we all know how much we all love revive abilities, right? It's everyone's favorite mechanic, right up there with evasion and counter. So everyone loves Count Dooku, everyone loves the Zeta Maul meta, and everyone loves Jolie and his revives. But Ferocious Protector is still an incredible Zeta. And when Chewbacca is prepared, he can revive a defeated light-side scoundrel ally and loses prepared, and he gets prepared very easily. Whenever he's buffed and another ally gets damaged, but Vander Chewbacca doesn't, Whenever an ally gets damaged while Chewbacca is buffed and Chewbacca is not damaged, he recovers protection as a factor of his max health, and whenever he recovers to max protection this way, he becomes prepared. And look at his other unique. He has 40% less max protection, but 80% more max health. As a result, think about him getting more recovering protection as a factor of his max health. It's going to be very, very easy. And when he's prepared, he's going to be able to revive. Pair him in a Kira lead next to a annoying scoundrel taunting tank that heals everyone and gains max health whenever she uses a basic attack, which is L3. The whole team becomes very hard to kill, and the two other characters you want to put in will probably be the other two prepared scoundrel from the Solo movie. Young Lando is not great, but you want to use his ship anyway, so you probably already farmed it, and his gear is just like insanely easy. And strangely enough, young Han is probably one of the best characters from this team, but I actually only have him gear 8. Unfortunately, I'm gonna go back to it and gear him someday whenever I have the time. So I'm using Stormtrooper Han in his place. It's not as good, but it's alright. And this is obviously a very Grand Arena or Territory War focused team. And like I said, this is the last filler before Jedi Knight Revan return. And the day his event came back, I got him and I geared him up to gear 12 plus 4. I didn't have this data pad. It's always hard for me to farm those for Jedi Knight Revan, as well as for Darth Revan. See, I don't really have many of those pieces either, but look at how many pieces. Well, I guess I have enough to make one of those. But anyway, the first set I gave him was General his leadership, which is usually the character you want to go with, and just look at how long this is. You know it's going to be good. And the Zeta adds, whenever a Jedi ally attacks out of turn, they recover 20% of their max protection, so very pointedly anti-Traya, and deals 35% more damage, also very anti-Traya, because if you remember, Traya's leadership ability will half enemies' offense whenever they gain a buff outside of their turn. And these two already counters Traya very handily, and there's more counters because whenever a Jedi ally uses a basic ability on an enemy with bonus protection, which is only Traya and Nest, reduce the target enemy's max health by 10%, which is just crazy. Also, because there's not enough, Jedi allies begin the battle with tenacity up for 1 turn, so you can't start of the battle, you cannot just ability block them, stun them, ain't happening. The next Zeta I gave him was Direct Focus, and to me this is the better of the two because, in my opinion, Direct Focus is not really good unless you gave him the Zeta. So it says add buff immunity for 2 turns, which can't be resisted, copied, or dispelled, so it's essentially locked, which is very, very good. Also increase the target enemy cooldown by 1 and stun the target for 1 turn, which is very powerful. The only way it could get better if that stun is irresistible as well, which is I wish it is kind of, because if I use it on Jolie and he resisted it and just counters like out of turn, it recovers health and protection, it's going to be super annoying. But this ability, this Zeta, is just incredible. But most people are probably going to say Hero is better, but I don't disagree with that. It's really hard to say which one is better. It didn't really matter for me back then because I had all 60 Zeta materials saved for him. So first of all, Revan is immune to stun and ability block, because why not? He's not powerful enough. And other light side allies also gain half of these bonuses, which are also double while Revan is in the leader slot and not the ally slot. Basically turns him into an even stronger R2 than R2 is, like with his number crunch Zeta. And next up is start to get some interesting characters, and one that I'm not necessarily satisfied with. First of all is B1 Battle Droid and Droid Battalion. Essentially double the stacks of Droid Battalion from 50 to 100. And if you want to use B1, you have to have Zeta, especially if you use him in a General Grievous squad, because General Grievous is going to be tearing through that Droid Battalion like nobody's business. So when the news that the droids are going to get a rework and there's going to be more droids coming in, after I got B1 Battle Droid, I just almost immediately given them to Gear 11 and gave him the Zeta because I wanted to be ahead of the curve. And I should have done that after I see the Game Changers and have their fun with him, see how good he is, while I saved the materials, but I didn't. And that's a lesson that I learned from that. So it's not very good. And the next one, I also gave one Zeta to General Grievous. During the same time, I geared him up to Gear 11 plus 4. I had one Mark 5 stun gun and one Mark 6 stun gun missing. And I gave him Daunting Presence. Whenever a target lock enemy is damaged, each droid and each separatist ally gain 2% turn meter double for Grievous. It's a very solid ability, but the thing is, I just didn't have the support crew ready. My General Grievous was only Gear 11 back then, so he wasn't doing a lot of damage. The rest of the team wasn't up to speed either, so it just kind of languished on the shelf for a long time. Next Zeta I had, let me see, is Initiative, and the previous two are kind of the ones that didn't really do much for me, and this one actually did a lot for me, but I kind of give it to her kind of whatchamacallit, reluctantly, because I was like, Basila's leadership already does so much without the Zeta. The Zeta only gives her the tenacity, which obviously is very good, especially against a Palpatine team, but I thought it wasn't really necessary, and most of the time I was using her under Revan anyway. Still kind of the case in 5v5, but in 3v3 I've been using Basila as her own leader and it's doing really well. I have to say it's a very powerful leadership ability, even though I didn't get a lot of use out of her. And more Old Republic stuff, because that's what's always been happening. And we have Carth Onasi and Soldier of the Old Republic. I knew he was going to be a very powerful leader, and the other thing is we knew you were going to need him for Darth Revan, and I knew I wanted a strong leader to lead the whole team, which definitely helped me getting Darth Revan. But Soldier of the Old Republic recovers 3% health and protection on a damage over time on an enemy, and basically any protection regeneration leadership or like any kind of team-wide protection regeneration Zeta is going to be good, perhaps except for Commander Cody, but that's mostly because the clones are bad, not that his leadership is necessarily awful, and Jen, whose usage is mostly restricted to territory battles. But Carthon Assy does damage over time on his basic. Canderous Ordo does damage over time whenever he just damages an enemy straight up. Zalbar has damage over time on his basic, and Mission applies damage over time on both of her active abilities, her basic and her special, because of the way her unique works. So these guys are going to be healing like nobody's business, putting down Damage over time. After damage over time, I use Juhani with them, but you can also use someone like Darth Vader or Wampa. It's a very powerful territory war Grand Arena team. And speaking of Darth Revan, I actually paid a little money for him. I'm not really proud of it, but he's a very strong character. Nevertheless, I gave him Lord of the Sith leadership first. Sith Empire allies are immune to turn meter reduction while they are debuffed, and man, are they ever debuffed. Of course, the enemy can debuff, yeah, but most of the time they're going to be debuffing themselves with ferocity and basically negating one of the game's most important mechanics. So don't even think about going against Darth Revan team with JTR. It's not going to work. The next one I gave him was Conqueror. Not that it's necessarily the better one of his uniques, but at the lower gear level I first got him at because of the stupid new gear. This was the only one that was available to me when I first unlocked him. I knew I was going to give all three of them to him anyway, so why not? But this one is still very strong. Enemies can't assist or attack again if their target is Darth Revan. Stops General Kenobi chain assist, stops Han Solo and Chewbacca or whoever Chewbacca is guarding. Stops Jedi Revan's mass assist ability. It's very strong. It helps keep Darth Revan alive because this whole team is very squishy. Speaking of keeping Darth Revan alive, Villain. When Darth Revan's health falls below 50%, is equalized with the other healthiest ally. Originally, I thought this is only Sith Empire allies, but since it's all allies, it's even stronger. And is really effective in keeping Darth Revan alive. For instance, one of the characters that just got a rework was Clone Wars Ahsoka, and her special ability does a ton of damage, but it does it in 3 times. And each of those times gives Darth Revan a chance to equalize with another ally. So even though it's still possible for Ahsoka to one-shot Revan with that ability, is very unlikely. The next up, more keeping within the Sith Empire Old Republic realm. Man, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 Old Republic era character Zetas in a row. Man. Anyway, HK-47, loyalty to the Maker. If HK-47's leader is Darth Revan, which most of the time is going to be, enemies with protection up can't gain bonus turn meter, and this is very strongly anti-Yoda. Obviously, Yoda is still going to get that bonus turn when he uses his AoE, Master Stroke, but he's not going to get any turn meter when he uses his basic or his battle meditation. It's very strong. I unfortunately don't run HK-47 in Arena anymore because my speeds are just not up to par. That's still a very strong ability, and I don't regret giving him that at all. Next up, it's probably the worst one from 41 to 57, and that is Canderous Ordo. I like a challenge. It's terrible Zeta. In addition to critical chance, now Canderous will also gain crit damage up for 2 turns when an enemy gains taunt, death mark, or marked. Not very good, but I give him that for one reason and one reason only, is to boost up his power enough to be over 17,500 so I can actually get Malak, so I don't regret it. And got Malak I did without spending an extra cent, but I spent money for Revan, so yeah. First, I want to give him his Jaws of Life. I originally thought that 9 Terror will be the stronger one, but people have been saying if you don't have a very strong, if your Darth Malak doesn't have a lot of speed, doesn't have a lot of survivability, it's not very geared very high, you want him to have Jaws of Life so you can survive. And what it does is the first time Darth Malak reaches each one of those thresholds, which are 3 of them, 75%, 50%, and 25%, he gains a bonus turn, and he can immediately use Strength Force, which does a ton of damage to an enemy, and as long as he's not shocked or has healing immunity, he's going to recover a bunch of health. And if he gets an enemy below 50% with that move, well, it's death mark on the enemy leader. It's very strong. The next one was 9 Terror, which really powerful. Whenever an enemy inflicts damage over time or critically hits them, it's going to get feared. And since this is not a basic or a special ability, it's a unique. That means it's not going to be stopped by Basilishan's, what is that thing called? Corrupted Battle Meditation. So it's very powerful in mirrors. And taking a short break from the Old Republic train, we're going back to General Grievous and Metalloid Monstrosity. And you might have already guessed why I gave him that. It's because of the Padme event. And this is what helped me get Padme at 7 stars. I also gave Grievous the 2 Mark 5, the 1 Mark 5 and 1 Mark 6 stun guns. I got him to gear 12, gave him the multi-tool, and gave him both of his furnaces. I had a bunch of cuffs at the time, and these furnaces give more health than the med packs. And also gives 6 speed, which is always great, and armor resistance don't hurt either. A Metalloid Monstrosity states that whenever a Separatist or droid ally is defeated, General Grievous gains a bonus turn, and all of his cooldowns are reset. And I went to the Padme event with double Zeta Grievous lead, with a double Zeta Asajj. Of course, she's not leading, so only her unique Zeta matters. I used a gear 12 Count Dooku. This was before his rework, obviously. A gear 12 Sunfac and a gear 11 B2. B2 and Sunfac died, so I just either spammed his AoE or spammed his Skittering Horror, which stuns, gains max health for Grievous, and reduces the target enemy's max health. So now I have Grievous really well developed. I'm going to work on the Separatists as well. You can see I'm farming B2 at the same and Droidica at the same time, so hopefully I can build it up by the time the the Geonosis territory battles come out. Finally, back to Old Republic, my latest number 57. I thought I have Do Not Disturb. I do. Oh, actually, I want to check. Do I have audio on? Yeah, I have. Sweet. Sorry, just paranoid. I don't want to make the same mistake I did again. Me and Big Z Forever, which is her assist. Whenever Zalbar uses an ability, Zalbar mission is going to assist. And this is honestly better than Chewbacca's assist abilities. Obviously, the attack itself is not going to be as good. But first of all, there's no damage reduction, which is amazing. Second of all, it doesn't say when Zalbar has to be during his turn, which Chewbacca requires the guarded character to be during their turn. So whenever Zalbar counters, which he does a lot, whenever whoopsie, sorry about that. Whenever ally falls below 50%, Zalbar is gonna counter, gonna get a retribution, and mission is gonna assist. And similarly, when under a Karth leadership, Zalbar gets called to assist, mission is gonna assist as well. It's gonna shred someone, mission does huge damage, and her basic also inflicts daze, so very strong. So this is my Zetas from 41 to 57. Thank you for watching. Next video I'm going to be talking about the Zetas I want to do for the next 5 probably, because I was thinking about 10, but the game would have changed a lot by the time I can get 10 Zeta abilities. So I'm going to talk about the next 5 I want to do. Thank you for watching. Hopefully OBS is fine this time. Hopefully I recorded everything as the way I wanted it. Thank you for watching, and see you again.